Hi, it's Patty Principe talking to you about group dynamics. It's week 2. I hope to accomplish defining what a group dynamic is, listing and explaining the foundational theories of groups, and summarizing some of those, the history of group dynamic theories. So firstly, group dynamics is the interaction between members and how the group interacts with other members. Groups come together to complete a task and to fulfill members' needs. It is important to understand group dynamics because leaders can use this knowledge to bring together teams to deliver against results. And the better that a leader knows this, they can acknowledge the members of the group's interactions, respond to change, decision making, and the definition of one of the authors said that it's explained as a complex, adaptive, and seeking the ongoing balance of continuity and change in groups. And so, coming together, the first word is complex, and it's just because all the members bring their past and their history and their opinions and shape who they are, and adapting to change depending on the day, the environment, the fire drills that are happening, how they're doing against their budget or their timelines or their milestones and achieving those, as well as adapting to conflict and any conflict resolution. Our readings also suggest that groups are bounded, structured entities that emerge from the interdependent actions of individuals. So groups bring together individuals who carry their past, and they create their own history, guided by the member sense of grounded in the member's sense of purpose as they operate in time. So the study of groups past, present, and future, that's where we saw that. The study of group dynamics dates back to 1800s. It's had its peaks and valleys. In the early 1900s, there was a spike looking at the group tasks and what they called coalition triads. There was a dip in the 60s and 80s, and it sort of came back up. And there's not psychologists like us study it, but also education, political science, communication. There's clinical, there's a lot of fields that are interested in group dynamics. Studies have focused dynamic patterns in group interactions over time, have led to a formulation about micro level interaction and different patterns in communication, problem solving, decision making, and then just the development of reflecting of what the group has done over their timeline. Studies have focused on dynamic patterns. Groups have been researched in controlled environments, and the length I noticed, one of my observations is that the length is like it's not that long. It's a period in time, both in a controlled environment and in the field. They're complex systems. They're not static. The individuals that make up the groups sort of change over time. There are 3 levels of the group's life cycle: local, global, and contextual. Local is the coming together of groups engaged in a task. Global is about the norms, the status structure, group identity, and group cohesiveness. And contextual dynamics refer to the impact of system-level parameters that affect the overall trajectory of the group. In its simple form, the purpose of the group is to complete tasks and to fulfill the members' needs. There are 3 modes of the life course: the formation and the operation and the metamorphosis. I appreciated the example of the German orchestra. What stood out to me is sort of that synchronization, that they all have to be at the same note on the 16th No, and I thought that was interesting. And there was a study by Almendinger, I'm sure Almendinger and Hackmans in 1996, where um, there was opinions about the member makeup and the lack of member satisfaction in the group. And one of the theories said that if people who prefer to be in groups came together, if they had the same preference, they tended to perform better. So even if two people didn't like to be in the group, but they were in the group because they had the same preference, they didn't. They tended to operate better. Temporal issues were studied. They talked about the rhythmic groups also do what they intend to do, and that's called a casual issue. The other, I've used this in my work life before. It's around the forming, storming, and norming. And so forming is a stage where groups come together and they're really like sort of nice to each other because they want to be liked, or they don't want to cause conflict, and they're still getting to know what their charter is. In the storming phase, they have disagreements and don't have trust yet and are trying to resolve conflict. And then in the norming phase, they've built that trust, they're delivering against their results. The more successful or high performing ones, groups, are the ones who have that trust and don't have to keep checking in on each other to make decisions. And so that is my theory, and sorry it's so long. But I'm glad that I was able to read it. It's great to get back into the school habit, and I'm looking forward to reading all of yours. Have a great night.